Obviously, the break has something issue, but what do you think? Do you think that was the only issue, or do you think there's a bigger issue, Gary?
Well, I think it's a number of things. I think what they need is they need some time to practice and get back to how they were playing. They've had very little of that. They came back on the 26th, so they had 3 days of practice, one of which is the day before the game where you don't do much. They need a chance to really, with everybody. This break where those guys were hurt did not help, because when they were playing and practicing, they were playing pretty well. I mean, they killed Iowa State. They gave Duke a good game. They've had some good performances. It's not like they've been like this the whole year.
Could have easily
got some injuries. Yeah, they could have beaten Wisconsin without 2 starters. So they've had their moments. I just think they need a chance to get everybody back and get a chance to practice and play. And like I've said, in 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be able to get a better idea of the potential of this team, assuming that everybody stays healthy and they get a chance to get back to where they were. Because if they get back to where they were, then they got a chance to beat anybody. If they don't, then they won't. I mean, that's obvious. But I think they've really been hurt by the injuries, the lack of practice, the breaks, and probably and not playing well. They're obviously not playing well. But until they get a chance to really get together and play and practice, I'm still going to wait and see. I think they still got a chance to be better than what they're playing now.
One more question.
Everybody in the chat, Gary, is going to say you're making excuses. But I will say this. You're giving us a take on this situation that I have not heard anybody else. I mean, obviously, you're a coach for a reason. None of us are. So you're giving us a take that no one else is throwing out there, and it's a valid one. I expected something different due to the break, but you're right. How much? I mean, these guys were on break. They weren't practicing together. I don't know how much work Chris has gotten.
You see it all the time during this period of time. You see teams get beat. The other night, Auburn almost gets beat at home to a Florida team that's under 500, and it takes a basket at the buzzer to win. This time of year is crazy. And then when you've got a team that doesn't have a great margin of error, a team that's trying to put people in new positions, and they got their best player not playing by far, or potentially their best player, it does sound like excuses, but it's reality. Now, if in 2 weeks they've got everybody and they're playing like this, hey, then they're bad. But I've seen them play too good a basketball this year to say that this is how good they are. I don't believe that. They're not playing well, and they're getting outworked, which is alarming. But I don't think that'll last.
I agree with you, and I'll defer back to 2017 when they were bad, right? And they lost a lot that previous year. I think that was the year Woodbury left, Gasell, Utah. Maybe it was a year removed to that. Jock was on those teams as well, but they were really bad. But they were bad early, right? I mean, they went to their tournament, wherever it was, Cancun or whatever, and lost to Louisiana Lafayette and lost to Wichita State. They were bad that year collectively. We've seen a month and a half of really good basketball. And we were both at that Wisconsin game, and I think we both agreed after the game, those looked like 2 tournament teams, not high-seeded teams, but 2 really good teams. That was less than 2 weeks. Well, it was, 2 weeks ago now? Am I right on the timeline there? Something like that. And I refuse to accept the fact that this team is as bad as they've shown these last 2 games, given the fact that they won at Seton Hall. They beat a good Clemson team. They blew the doors off an Iowa State team that made it to the Sweet 16 last year, and I know they're different as well. Could have easily beaten Wisconsin, took them to overtime. So I agree with you, and I think your optimism is well-founded based on the facts.